All right. Had an early morning this morning. Had to go and pick up my last batch of chickens from the butcher. And we got a wedding to go to. Early morning. Anyways, best time to hang out and chat with God, right? So I was driving, and he's just caught in prayer, just thinking about, meditating on God's Word, like I always do when I'm driving, and it just all started to kind of come at me, like why we know 2021, particularly fall time. I mean, there's a good case for the spring too, but obviously that passes by. But either way, 2021 being the year, right? So we know. Actually, let me do this real quick. All right, I had to turn on airplane mode because I tried to do this before and I got like 10 minutes in, and then I got a phone call and it deleted everything. So I really like to just go with it, like as it's coming to me, because that's the most authentic. But now I got to repeat myself, so bear with me, and then we'll kind of continue on to where I left off. So we know the end times is there's a lot of childbirth imagery, right? The woman in travail as she gave birth to the child, the man-child. Labor pains will come on you like travail upon a woman. So you get all this birth imagery. When we look at Genesis and add up all the years given for when they had children that were born, right? You got Jared and Enoch, Methuselah, and so on, right? And you add up all those years, it comes to 2021, which I thought was pretty interesting. Call it a coincidence if you want, but I think it's interesting. Why else are we looking at 2021? Well, there's a 2,000-year pattern, and if you guys haven't seen it, we went super in depth over at the Sword of God a while back. It's one of my first couple videos on here. And then I also have just a 10-12 minutes video of just the blood moon tetrads and that. And I went in detail. But, guy woke me up like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I told me to pretty much go downstairs and get to work. I didn't know what I was doing, but I sat there until I finished it, and at the end, what we kind of came to see was that there's a 2,000-year pattern, and it doesn't exist outside of that. It's 2,000 years. That's the pattern. We went through all the years, all the dates. I keep saying we, which is funny, but it was just, me, myself, and the Holy Spirit, right? So yeah, I went through that and found that there's a 2,000-year pattern, which reoccurred in 2014 with the blood moon tetrads. Now, if that wasn't enough, we also see that in late 2014. It's really interesting. Right around Feast of Trumpets, September 25th, you had 2 calves born with the number 7 written on their head. 2 calves. Different parts of the world, but both these people were watching. Well, one person was watching a show, the way I understand it, anyways. Like one of the Christian Network's TV shows, and saw that someone had a calf born with a 7 on its head on the 25th, and the guy's like, oh man, I have a calf with a 7 on its head. can't take sharp turns. Anyways, so he had emailed them in, and so now we know that there was 2 calves born right around Feast of Trumpets in 2014 with a 7 on their head. Now, I'm sure you guys, it might pique your interest, right? You know the story of the 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. All right, if you look back over the past 7 years, particularly the past 4 or 5 years, we had record number of production as far as crops. Super high numbers. Everyone was buying. The economy was turned up. People were buying. It was truly prosperity. In the U.S., I can't speak of other parts of the world, anyways. But at least here in the U.S., definitely in other parts of the world, we were definitely having years of plenty. 7 years of plenty. Well, that 7 years of plenty turns into 7 years of famine. If we're going to stick on the exact timeline, end of September, really, this is interesting. So that first calf was born on the 21st of September, I believe, and that second calf was born on the 25th of September. So we got a 4-day window. Now we also know, right, what else happened in 2017 in late September, right? September 23rd, smack dab in the middle, we had the Revelation 12 sign. So really, what we can say is happening here is that by or towards or around, anyways, the end of September, the 7 years of famine are really going to start to hit, right? That black horse, and we already see that playing out. I don't know if you guys watch or pay attention to any of the weather. There's 2 really good channels, not necessarily Christian channels, but they have great information, especially when it comes to, they don't realize it's the beast system, but cryptocurrency and blockchain technology and food production, right? So the 2 are Ice Age Farmer. Check him out. Great stuff. I actually do think he's Christian, but I'm not 100% on that. And Adapt 2030. 2 phenomenal channels if you want to know about crop production and the whole world, right? And blockchain technology and how it's being utilized and how it's building the beast system, and they don't quite realize it. But those with the eyes to see. So we had the blood moon tetrad start in 2014. We had the calves born in 2014. Fast forward 3 years. Fast forward 3 years, we had the Revelation 12 sign. Just before that, June 21st, right, we have that, the Great American Eclipse. June 21st, 2017. Marked out. And the following, so that's, and then the following eclipse, 7 years later, 2024, is in early April, right around Passover time. And then, of course, we had that solar eclipse smack dab in the middle of the 2 in 2020, December 14th, 2020. We all know what happened on December 14th, 2020. That was the first one. Smack dab in the middle. Man, I don't know. It's looking like 2024 is like go time, Anyways, getting beyond myself. I don't know how he's going to play it out. I really don't. But we know we're in the season, right? And we know 2021 is super, super high likelihood. Let's see, where else was I at? All right, so Revelation 12 sign. So we had the eclipse, 7 years between the two great American eclipses, mark an X over the country. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the X actually goes over a place in Texas called Little Egypt. Can't make this stuff up, guys. Little Egypt. Enter the Stars is another really good channel. He actually did and at one point I'll throw the links in the description to these 3 channels. But he did a breakdown of the Nile River. I believe it's the Nile River. Nope, that's in the Amazon. Shoot, what's that river over there? Is it the Nile River? You know, that main river over there. I think it's the Nile. We're going to say it's the Nile. Double check me, okay? Anyways, he overlaid that image of that river and the cities surrounding it on top of the Mississippi. And what he found was amazing is that the city names, the city names in Egypt match, not all of them, but a healthy percentage of them, match up exactly with the city names in the U.S. off the Mississippi River. It's astonishing, right? We are the new Egypt. Yeah, anyways. I'll leave a link to that video specifically, I think. It's pretty sweet. So we got that solar eclipse. Then brings us to Revelation 12 sign. Revelation 12 sign happening smack dab in the middle, right? Date-wise of those 2 calves being born 3 years later. So 21st, 25th, Revelation 12 sign played out around the 23rd. Now there's that parable, and I think it's still possible that parable may be in reference to the... But now that I think about it more, I don't think it is. And I'll tell you why. But I was going to say, in comparison to, or not in comparison, but that 4-year parable of this tree has not produced any fruit in 3 years, cut it down. And he said, well, give me 1 more year, dig about it, fertilize it. If it produces fruit next year, great. If not, we'll chop it down, right? So 4 years. I had thought that the June 21st, well, originally I thought it was always going to be the September 23rd is what it was in reference to. But then someone had brought up the June 21st eclipse, and I thought, well, hey, maybe, that's close. And that kind of matched up with my 10 days. I was looking at the 11th through the 21st to be 10 days. That 10 days ends directly on the 21st. So I was thinking that was it. But, it's kind of a sign for the United States, not so much the world. Whereas Revelation 12 sign was a sign for the entire world to see. So if we're going off that, right, we got September 23rd, right, that end of September, 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. Well, swap those, 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. The 4 years of the tree not producing any fruit all comes to a head fall 2021. September, well, really it could be the very last day of summer, right? I think summer ends, I think the last day of summer is the 22nd. So the 23rd would be the first day of fall. How ironic. So I think that's something that we got to throw in there as well. Not to mention, right, everything that's going on. I think it's very obvious that where this is heading, right? How long we're here is up for debate. But the time we're in is pretty obvious to really anyone who's looking. I guess it's not so obvious to a whole lot of people. Which brings me to something I was thinking about yesterday. And I'm going off script now. Actually, I don't have any more. That was pretty much it, I think, for 2021, unless something else comes to me. But, so I was thinking about this the other day. And, see, now I forgot what I was thinking about. Let's see, bring it back. That was a short pause. I remember now. So, we know that the harvest is great, but the workers are few, right? And I had always thought, because, well, here's what hit me. I said something last week or so, 10 days or so ago in a video where I said, just take my wife and my kids and I'll do whatever you want. Speaking about being an end times worker, a harvest worker, through tribulation. And, well, it still may be the case, but it got me on a different track of mind where, if we think about it, the people that are doing this, the people that are you watching this video, you commenting, you people in discussion on Discord, making videos yourself, whatever you're doing, right? If you're part of this group, I mean, are we the harvest workers? Right? Are we not going out trying to let people know that it's it's the harvest is coming? Are we not trying to gather the wheat, gather the flock? Are we symbolically? I think what gets me is the overlap between the spiritual and the physical fulfillments. So are we working that field now? Right, the field being the whole world. I just saw it on the other day. Daughter of Elroy on Discord, bless her heart, she's done so much to do a map of everyone that's involved in just our Discord. And we span the entire world, the entire field, right? We know that the world is the field. And we are the members in Discord where everyone's getting in there and chatting and discussing. We're across the entire world. Are we not harvesting the field? I don't know. Something I thought about. Anyways, there's something else I wanted to say, I think, but it escapes me. Let me press pause for a minute. All right. I don't remember exactly what I wanted to say, but we'll kind of add this on to the 2021 thing, right? Regardless if you think that seals haven't opened, and we're waiting on seal 1, and we escaped before that, which I can see that. I can see that argument. I can. I don't agree with it, but I can see it. I used to agree with it. I've been on a wild ride, man. I used to be completely post-apocalyptic, Jesus coming back, tribulation, to mid-trib, to pre-trib, to all tribs, to pre-mid and post, all being accurate, and I think that still plays a part, for sure, but I also think that we're in seals, right? We know we're not appointed to God's wrath, right? And if we're looking at seals, well, I'll say this, and we also know we will be here for the labor pains. Right? Jesus tells us we'll be here for the labor pains. And if you're looking at the seals, the first 5 seals, really the first 4 seals, 5th one I don't think we'll ever see like a fulfillment of. It's more or less it happens in heaven. But the first 4 seals, maybe the 5th one, either way, it doesn't matter. First 4 seals, you look at them and you compare them to the labor pains that Jesus said we would see. We're in the labor pains, right? I mean, they match up almost perfectly. I mean, really, they do. So I think we're waiting on seal 6. Now I think seal 6. Yeah, anyways, I think we're waiting on seal 6. Now if you're looking for the wrath, right, we know the wrath of God we're not appointed to, but we also know that the wrath of God comes at seal 6. There is no mention of wrath of God in the first 5 seals. You know, when people are fleeing to the mountains, hide us from the face of he who sits on the throne. For the day of the Lord's wrath has come. That's seal 6. That's when wrath starts. That's what I think we're waiting on. You know, especially when people have said all the time, you know, multiple channels and multiple watchmen have said, right, when they come down or it comes down, being meteorites or missiles or whatever, alien spaceships, could be a number of things, but when it comes down, we go up, right? And I mean that's seal 6. You know, that's what that is. That's coming down. And we're going up, you know. So I think we're waiting on seal 6. There's some people, which I don't quite understand unless they're going to overlay trumpets and seals at the same time, kind of like what Brenda Weltner does. I mean, and she's done a lot of work, and I can see what she's saying for sure. I have a little different understanding, but you know, the trumpets and the seals kind of play out together over time. And seal 6, and because and I could be wrong here, but I don't ever remember reading anything about wrath and the trumpets. Now we know trumpets in order of succession come after seals, but we don't necessarily know if they play out at the same time or they play out after. I know that is traditional thinking, but like I said, Brenda Weltner puts it a different way, and I can see what she's saying as being a possibility. So that, if that's the case, right, I know people that think we're at the end of trumpets, right? We're basically waiting on the 7th trumpet, which is the 7 bowls. And that specifically is definitely God's wrath. So we could be there too. It's possible. You know, I think it's really interesting, and I want to do the math and see what the days come to, but you know, Daniel tells us when we see the abomination standing in the holy place where it ought not be, let it count, you know, 1,290 days. Or that might be the 1260 in there. I don't know, I gotta look at the 1290, 1260 precisely to figure it out. Either way, talking 30 days. So, you know, the abomination being the juice, and it being 1,260 or 1,290 days from when it's standing where it ought not be. That was December 14th. You fast forward 3.5, it brings you to June. June 2024-ish. Now, we all had June and July days that we were looking at, so we could play those out in 2024 as well. But that comes right after, you know, is that when Babylon falls? When X marks the spot? That's when Babylon truly falls, right? So you're saying, man, 2024 is looking interesting. There's something, you know, I've never quite understood. God will shorten time. Now, I've heard different theories, and they make sense, but I'm not sold on any of them. You know, going from 364 back down to 360 days. I mean, it's definitely shortening time, right? But it only adds up to like 2 weeks, right? Over the course of 3.5 years, Right? I think that's what the math was. Yeah, 4 days. 4, 8, 12 plus 2 is 14. Yeah. So either 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on if it's 7 years or 3.5 years, you're talking. And it just doesn't seem like that's the right shortening of time. You know what I mean? Could be wrong. But we also know the devil knows his time is short, right? So it doesn't make sense. Like, I think it's 2024. I know 2028 makes a whole lot of sense, but look, like, we gotta, that was before all this started and all this happened, right? I think 2020, could it be possible at 2027? See, but it was 7 years of famine, but God shortens time, otherwise no flesh would be saved, right? So maybe he shortens it. But we know if this is the abomination, which it is, complete with all your booster shots that are coming, all the same juice, which I have a theory on as well, but save it for another time. $2024, right? I mean, we're 2021, 22, 23, 24, into 2025. That's possible. So I'm just counting 3.5 years from when Satan falls down, which I believe is coming September 11th. Again, you're at that mid to late September mark, September 11th, 2021, and I'm going to do a more in-depth video. And if you saw me on Repo Man's video the other day, I misspoke. But that Revelation 12 sign does... I'm already at 30 minutes. Revelation 12 sign does play itself out again. And it does so on September 11th, 2021. And here's what's super interesting about that. If you look... I think 2017 was a warning, it was a sign. Definitely was, just like the blood moons were, right? Anyways, if you look, this is what makes it super interesting, right? We look at chapter 12, I think it's verse 5, I want to say. But Lucifer, Satan, was next to the woman about to give birth to devour the child when it was born. Now, this is what's awesome about September 11th. One, it's 9/11, right? So we all know what kind of goes along with that. But September 11th, the sign plays itself out again, and here's what's massive is the fact that there is an asteroid, 1964 Lucifer. It's like UA 230. I don't know the UA number, but it's 1964 Lucifer. You look up that asteroid 1964 Lucifer, or asteroid nicknamed Lucifer, you'll find it. That is literally right next to the woman's stomach on September 11th when the baby is born in the stars, right? Amazing. I think there's a good chance that we might see something, right? That's when the war in heaven takes place, or when Satan is cast down. I don't think it's going to happen. It might happen right on that day, but it might be just after that, towards mid-20s of September, right? When he cast a third of the stars down. Or maybe that's when he cast a third of the stars down, and he comes down shortly after that, mid-September. Or, mid-20s of September. September 20, if we're taking that 4 year, in between the two calves, the 21st to the 25th, the 4 year from the Revelation 12 sign in 2017, put you on September 23rd. Around that time frame, that could be when Satan's cast down to the earth, which means he only has 3.5 years, which brings you to early 2025, which technically, if we're going by proper way to understand the years, that would still be 2024. Spring of 2025. Up until Nissan, right, is still 2024. But I guess that doesn't really matter either way. It's still just 3.5 years, right? Ain't no way there's 7 years left. I don't know. I just can't. Like, there's no. Look at the progression of what's coming. I mean, the Delta 9742. Got to be careful. The new wave. I mean, it's gonna. Chains and shackles the whole world again, right? Everyone is left here. Dude, there ain't no coming out of it unless you have the juice. That's what it's going to be, a permanent one, more or less, right? Until, like, you ain't allowed out of your house or to do anything until you have it, right? We know that the military being mandated by September 15th. Interesting timing, right? Just after that September 11th sign, possibly the third of the stars falling down, right? But we know that that's when it's mandatory for the military. Now, it makes sense that we also know the military is ready to go as soon as they get the okay, within 24 hours, they are prepared to have every single U.S. American juiced up. And that's, I had someone tell me that was just a conspiracy theory, but that's straight from the U.S. General's mouth. So look it up, right? I'm at the limit. Anyways, interesting stuff. I'm watching earthquakes, massive earthquakes going on, right? 7, 7, 7, 7. We had 3 7s. Wow, I just realized that. We had 3 7.0s yesterday. 7, 7, 7. Before that, we had 2 over 7. I mean, things are cranking up. We've had 5 over 7.0s and 2 tsunamis within the past 7 days. Guys, it's cranking. Earthquakes are going to get stronger and quicker. I mean, there are 5 7.0s. I mean, the earth is shaking, guys. It's wobbling. There's going to be volcanoes going off. There's going to be massive earthquakes coming soon, real soon. It's going to be God's last-ditch effort to wake people up before it's too late. I'm at the limit. I got to go. God bless. Jesus is coming back.